Blog Talk Radio.
Here at ACO Radio, American Communications Online, or any affiliated stations or websites are not responsible for what guest hosts or call-ins may say. All programming is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only.
Thank you, Ahmed Painter, also known as Thomas R. Becker. He helps us with American Communications Online and the Allied Command Organization for all our veterans. Welcome aboard, all you ground troops spinning around smartly on the planet. This is your host, Teresa J. Morris, and I'm excited about bringing the ACO Club to you today with people that know me, and it's great to have friends on this day in 2020. It's April 10th. And I'm excited to talk to a real live, I guess, entrepreneurial social networker that's roughly my age. So we're like activated to help others, and we're like the baby boomer generation. And I don't know if he's calling in or if I have to call him in, because we had some trouble with all these stations we have and channels, and I pulled them all up at one time, amazingly so, but that's we're only 5 or 8 minutes out of the way. But let me see who this is. 707. Hi, 707, can you hear me?
I can hear you. This is Robert Butwin.
Oh, great! Yay! You found the right channel, and I did too. And I apologize for being a few minutes late. We had all the channels pulling up, and I didn't do it. So I was absolutely amazed that the universe let me get to you. So you know what we'll do today, Robert, is talk about you as an author, a strategist, and helping us with the ACO Club as an ACE coach, but I understand you go by a lot of other names, and I was hoping people on this great Good Friday would tune in and hear what's coming up on my channel on YouTube. But I've heard that you're a big Google YouTube person, and I've seen some of your films or some of your videos on YouTube. I was watching them before I came on, so I'd be briefed a little bit of how you've done shows in the past. But if you don't mind, you're calling in from California. Now, I need to know how much and how much you're going to allow me to speak about you.
You can say whatever you want, and you can ask me whatever questions that you think that your audience would like to hear about.
Wow, that's carte blanche, man. This is like American Express. Okay, carte blanche. Wow. Well, Robert, you're really a world traveler, and wow, Good Friday. What a time to be on the planet. I want to be very outgoing and forthwith that Robert had came about me because I truly believe in something that we can't feel, see, or touch, smell, or taste, sixth sense, seventh sense, whatever you want to call it. But I want to brag a little bit about Robert, so everybody that knows me that doesn't know Robert, because people were saying, is it this person to me today, or is it that person? They were like, they all wanted to know why they didn't already know this gentleman in my life. And that's because, for whatever reason, the universe didn't line us up until there was a LinkedIn. And he is a famous, well-known social networker, and started way back in the day when he and I were walking the path with Wayne Dyer. So that was my key to his fame and glory, I guess one might say, is the fact that Wayne Dyer has passed on. But I loved Wayne Dyer. He was my mentor in many ways. When I was walking the path, Deepak Chopra, when I met him, and many of you know I was one of Michael Jackson's celebrity type of entrepreneur psychics, if you will. And Robert found me on LinkedIn, and he allowed me yesterday to call him and ask if I found him or he found me, but he was quite honest with me and said, actually, I found you. So Robert is one of these guys that he's been working from home, and since roughly 1990. And I was looking at a letter that his wife sent me. And is your wife's name Bonnie? Is that correct, Robert?
That is correct. Definitely. We've been married like 33 years.
Go ahead.
No,
now, she's still alive on the planet.
Yes.
She's still alive.
Me, but yeah, she's been my soulmate. We've had just a phenomenal relationship.
Wow. Well, this is great because, Robert, I'm just going to read this real quick because Bonnie was nice enough to help me out because she knew that for whatever the reasons, I guess maybe she's like me, we believe in synchronicity, I'm guessing, but he grew up in a family of very successful business people and self-made millionaires. And from what I understand, his grandparents had a business, which my grandparents had a business, so we had that in common. And he had a lot of cousins, and I had a lot of cousins, so I could see a lot of synchronicity or whatever you want to say, similarities. But early in his business, he made a crucial decision to leave behind all his country club smarts. So we can get into that because I'm sure many of you have been to country clubs. I've been to the largest country club in the world, not bragging because it was paid for by other people. And I was starving to death and couldn't wait to get to the dinner, but I was so ignorant. I'd already been schooled on how to do the silverware, but I mistakenly made the wrong choice, and they took my plate away. Too fast. So we can talk about country clubs. But Robert entered network marketing field on or about part-time basis back in the day, and we can talk about what made him change over 35 years or more because I really don't know if we're up on the years in 2020. But he recognized the potential for learning his ropes and helping people basically full-time marketing, and he was a coach from his home roughly about the time I was still in uniform and during what I call the Ascension Age beginning. Oh, excuse me if you hear phones in the background. I can't turn them off because so many people need to know what's going on. But Robert's successful career had earned him respect and admiration from many colleagues throughout his profession, and those may be running businesses, but we can let him talk about that. And then he was associated with many MLM firms and large corporations, and we can talk about that because many of you may remember some of those, some of you pros and cons, but he's going to help us with the 5 A's on how to do that kind of stuff if you're interested. If not, that's okay too. But we have top income earners that he has coached, and I've seen videos of people that just swear by his, I guess you could say they give him a real endorsement, and I even have subscribed to his channel on YouTube today. So Robert, he's very well known in leadership roles with many organizations throughout the United States and other countries as well. And I've put him including the ACO Club because after I talked to him last night, I realized I didn't know a thing about him. I didn't even, what little bit, I didn't even really glance at his LinkedIn because I don't know. I was going on, and I hope he'll talk about that. I don't know if you want to call it serendipity behavior, synchronicity, deja vu, past life. We can talk about all that. But he's associated with so many people and associations. So I gave him the ACO Club.app and said, he asked me a few questions because he's a strategist. But I asked him to come on because he's been doing this with people from all over the world, and he is an industry leader. And in 2009, he was honored by having his name inducted into the MLMIA Hall of Fame. But I guess that's Multi-Level Marketing International Association, but we can let him tell us later. And he was a contributing writer for many professional trade journals, and you guys know that's one of my specialties. And I've recently retired in 2017, but maybe he'll help us. Who knows? We can see because we got to have a legacy to leave. But he's an author of a best-selling book called Street Smart Networking. And, we love our authors. And tonight, Friday, all you guys in my authors club that's open source or in all our social media groups, Facebook, LinkedIn, you guys know I'm big on authors. And, again, I'm going to say that he traveled with his groups and also his book, but he wasn't even really about his book when I talked to him, which was interesting being that he's an author. But he's traveled Europe and recently Asia, where he's been a spokesperson, and he was at one time on the stage with Wayne Dyer, so we'll get into those insights and his wisdom on how to help other entrepreneurs, independent souls, and how he's helped others with the 5 A's accelerate their success, because he's all about being human. Now, his wife, Bonnie, and he live in the wine country, and I've been up there as a truck driver. Many of you know I drove coast to coast, and pulled for the U.S. Treasury and Microsoft, so of course I had to go up in that area with Microsoft and the government. But he actually walks his talk, okay? And I know you're not supposed to talk this long, blah, 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 about other people, but if I don't do it, who else, because you guys know I'm very outgoing, and I love people. I'm a big promoter, and I love to help incredible people. And this guy reached out in this hard time on the planet, and he even agreed to come on this very special night, this very special time if you live in America for sure, especially if you're a Christian, which President Trump said he was today, which really shocked me because very rarely do our presidents really claim to be like, I'm proud to be an American, at least I know I'm free, and then the Christian thing. But I was just shocked, but I'm glad because I was raised that way. But so many of my people believe in source versus the word God, and that's okay because we're all in the ascension, and we're metaphysicians, and we're New Agers, and we're not New Agers, and we're scientists, and we're spiritualists, and we're revolutionists, and we're evolutionists. So he said he was open to all that development because he was very open-minded, because he's been helping many countries, many people develop in global networking. So I asked him if he could help me share some cosmology, space exploration. I told him about my following of Sir Richard Branson and Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, the three biggies, and we do the power of three. And so there's so many things over the next hour, 45 minutes we can talk about for American Communications Online, which is the logo that I'm sporting now for the International Intermodal Community for global communication and network marketing. So without further ado, we're going to welcome all our universal, pastors, because we have in California, we are universal life pastors, metaphysicians, open heart, open mind, and we're very welcoming for everybody, including all our Asian and Indian partners, which I'm working with. I used to work on the Pacific Rim with China, Japan, Korea, a lot of people with the containers, but I'm going to ask him to open up everyone's mind with me, and let's see what we can strategize. So, Robert Butwin, author, strategist, welcome to ACO Club. Now, Robert, you're going to have the floor. So if you would like to start, you just go wherever you feel like you need to. But we usually start at the high school where you were born and move forward. So are you an American? Why don't you start there?
Definitely I am American. I grew up in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, Minnesota. And, I probably grew up similar to many people. I had a good family background. My parents always told me the pathway to success, my roadmap to success was go get a good education and ultimately then get into a job. You can work hard for the rest of your life. I always expected to be running our family business. The challenge was there was too much family in the family business. I graduated from Highland High School, went to the University of Minnesota. If you remember the Miracle on Ice, I played sports with a lot of the different people that were on that 1980 Olympic team. But our family started the high school war cheerleading jacket business. My mom's brother owned a bunch of car dealerships. My grandfather's brother's son was the president of MIT. So I came from a good family background. But again, we just had too much family in the family business. And you mentioned about Wayne Dyer, and all of a sudden I got a tape series from Wayne Dyer called No Limit Person, and that sort of was the thing that really changed my life, because he started to. By listening to that tape series, I started to realize that the limits that existed in my life, that I was responsible for those being there. And what I've learned is if you take responsibility for what is, you can take responsibility for what will be. But unfortunately, most people are in a state of denial. And I love the acronym of denial, which is don't even notice I am lying, and you're lying to yourself. No matter what you see, what life you're living now, what life you want to live in the future, you need to take responsibility. And so that was sort of the thing that really made a major positive change in my life, was coming across Wayne Dyer's tape series, and I started to realize that there was another pathway. I got into personal growth and development. I started to listen to people similar to Michael Gerber, Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins. We could go on and on, Deepak Chopra, Brian Tracy, because, again, I started to realize that, even though I got a college degree, I really didn't get the education until I got into the workplace. So, I could go on and on. Are there, some specific things that you'd really like me to cover about as far as a strategist, Teresa? What points? What would you like me to talk about? Again, I could talk and talk and talk. I talk for a living.
Let's start with YouTube. Yeah, let's start with your YouTubes. I saw several, but I noticed that you didn't post a whole lot on your own YouTube, but that could change in the future because where we are now, and you and I came across for a reason, I'm sure, because you're a people person, and I noticed that on LinkedIn and on some of the YouTubes I saw of other people sharing the last 10 years, you go way back, and that's about, I was writing for UFO Digest in Canada in 2007, but I've already been on my spiritual path in Hawaii. So I'm not sure. I was earlier today, I was all excited, but I started watching the different YouTubes, and it sort of blew my mind how many people you knew and how many people were endorsing you. So how can we build this new strategy in this time? But I still need people to get to know you, and because you are a people person. So what I heard last night from the universe or the AI, depending on if you guys believe in the G8 and what we're doing to bring in the dimensions, but Robert, I heard make it human. And you said, well, that sounds like something I would say because I heard it. And, folks, I don't hear voices like the psychic or the schizo or what all, but I do work with psychology, science, theology, history, and I did people synergistically involved, and I graduated all the way up to the top and went to the ranch in California or wherever that was that time many years ago. So back in 89, 90. So, Robert, you want to start there because I don't know what did you do up to 1990, and then let's see if we can sort of combine our efforts for the ACO Club because people can relate to the last 20. Well, that'd be 30 years.
Well,
I heard the president, Robert.
1990. Again,
go ahead.
I graduated from college in 1974. Graduated from high school in 1970. And I started in our family business. As I mentioned, we started the high school war cheerleading jacket business. And what happened is ultimately 1 year I increased the sales in the area in the Twin Cities that I covered for over $500,000. And because my grandparents had other grandsons in the business, I got like a $5,000 a year raise. I said, wait a minute, there's something wrong with the picture. And that was sort of really what made it really clear that I had to figure out something that would create the kind of life I really wanted to because I didn't want to be controlled. So anyhow, this was, I was working in the family business until 1990, and approximately, I think it was about 84, 85 was the time that I realized I needed to figure out another path. I wish I could tell you when I got involved with direct marketing, network marketing, multi-level marketing, which unfortunately many people really don't understand. Really, to me, what MLM means is making life meaningful. Some people might say it means making love more, making lots of money, but it's really a people business. And going back to what you mentioned about making it human, so I saw the fact that this was a way that I could create the kind of lifestyle that I wanted. Got involved approximately in 1984. And my first 6 months, I created like $102,000 in debt. Again, I made almost any and every kind of mistake that you could possibly make. I sort of like dove right in. I didn't have the proper mentors. I started to look at indirect mentors until I finally found the right real mentor. And one of the guys that really made a positive difference in my life was a guy named Big Al. And he, talked to me about a word picture. And the word picture was just imagine. And that's a real powerful word. But he said, imagine what it would feel like walking into your boss's office, sitting in the, across from his desk, putting your feet feet up on the desk, smoking a cigar. Now, I don't smoke cigars, but he said smoking a cigar and telling him he could no longer afford to work there anymore. Well, that happened in approximately 1985, 86 is when I listened to him speak, and I was actually able to gain my freedom in September 7th, 1990. It's like now I'm psychologically unemployable. I never have worked a job since that point in time. My whole life from that point on has been focused on what I can do to help other people gain the freedom that they can live life on their own terms. But again, that happened in 1990. Later that year, we moved over to Scottsdale, Arizona from Minnesota. Lived there for about 7 years, and ultimately moved into the wine country. My wife likes to say we went from too cold to too hot to just perfect. The key in everything is focus on not yourself, but focus on what you can do to help other people. And that's really the secret sauce that has allowed me to create the success that I have created over a long period of time. I think my book was actually published in 1994, if I'm not mistaken. And, from that point on, I've traveled around the world. I've traveled over 2 million miles. The only reason I know the fact that I've gone over 2 million miles is United Airlines sent me a plaque telling me that I traveled over 2 million miles. But my focus is people. If you focus on people making a difference, and I know right now we're in some very, should I say, challenging times. I remember a nursery rhyme or a fairy tale that I used to read when I grew up. It was called Henny Penny, and ultimately it was about this hen that all of a sudden got hit on the head by an acorn. And so she decides to go into town to tell the king, and on the way into town she tells everybody that the sky is falling. And I know that, again, we're in some challenging times, and I want to be very optimistic because I know we're going to get through this. Everything that we're going through right now is happening for a reason. I think part of that reason is to help people realize that they can't depend upon just one source of income. You can't depend upon a lot of the things that we thought that we could depend upon. So to me, it's all very positive. We will get through the things we're going through, and I think that let me back up. I know we're going to become stronger human beings because of it, and I just see a very bright future, even though right now, as I was at the post office today, earlier this afternoon and earlier in the week, I was at Trader Joe's and Costco, and you got to stand six feet away from everybody else. But again, it's social distancing. You've got to be a little bit cautious, but again, I'm not really concerned because I know I've got a strong immune system because I've been eating a lot of nutritional products for a long period of time. A long time ago, I remember I was watching, I think it was 60 Minutes, and there was this guy that used to work at one of the big food companies, and he talked about the fact that ultimately that he was there to make the foods addictive. And then there was a book out that you can go to YouTube and actually listen to it or get it on Amazon called Salt, Sugar, Fats, How the Food Giants Hooked Us. And, I started to realize, a long time ago that a lot of the health crisis that's going on is because of the foods we ate. You take a look at the flow of money, and the money goes to the FDA, and what's in the middle is the drug is, the FDA, the drugs. It's like there is no regulations around food. So to me, it's about how we can educate people, how we can help people recognize the truth, and help shift people's perspectives on things. Again, I could keep on going on and on. So, I don't know if there's certain things that I've talked about that you want me to go into, but, I started to realize, once I realized that I had to take responsibility for my life, that, the information's out there. The stuff that I paid a lot of money for back then, you can get for free today. You can go to YouTube, you can go to Pinterest. There's so much information out. You can get a library card and get all that information for free. You can you can plug into people's podcasts. You can plug into talk radio shows. There's the biggest message that I can share with people is take responsibility, plug into the information, and determine what it is that you want. One of the things that when Teresa and I were talking yesterday, I was talking about the 5 A's and the law of attraction. And if you want, I can go more into depth about that right now too, Teresa.
Yeah, I like that because we train the trainers and the leaders around the world and the latest trends and developments. But you and I both know in the new global networking trends that we have lived through decades, Robert, and we have seen the changes. And I went to Vegas and I went to the book signings and we did the books and we did the CDs and the DVDs. And now, the 90s and Windows 95 opened that up. Of course, we've got to give Steve Jobs, and Bill Gates and all of them their kudos. But now it's all about the main three is Google and Amazon, and what the third, because we do the power of three, is us, is the people. But in social media, networking, marketing, helping organizations, we're all now tracked as an individual, Robert, and you know that because it's all about the change. And even the president today, and I always go direct to the White House and I watch the channels and I will surf on my MediaCom and on my television, the big screen that a friend gave us. Anyway, it was the nicest gift I ever got because I never got to watch big TV, and we live in a very minimalistic society now, and you and I both have had the big mansions and the fancy cars and all that stuff, and we walked away from it because we went for the spiritual science path of not, I don't know, the success is there, but the 5 A's that you talk about, a lot of people may know it, but I don't know how many books have been out there, and a lot of people talk about the A attraction, and many of them know about the secret. But, there's so many people out there that have already done all that, including I got started on Chicken Soup of the Soul for the soul books and all of that, but I met the guy that did that, and then I think he's down here in Florida. But let me give you 5. The ACO Club meetings we're going to be putting here on YouTube are meetings, webinars, seminars, workshops, and conferences. Now, that's not in, I guess if you take the C, conferences, which you are a speaker for all over the world, and I know you got back from Asia, so that would be a C. But then we've got meetings, and you're a very good individual, and you do meetup groups, and you go and speak, and then there's seminars. And I'm not sure how we're going to do that because we used to do them, CDs and DVDs, but I've been away for a while. And then we're going to do webinars and workshops. And I have gone to some conferences, and I've worked with my ACO Club as far as what we call ACO media managers. And how can you help me? Because my company stands alone as a solo entrepreneur, but people count on me to be like you. And I'm trying. I shouldn't say trying. They say trying is lying, but I'm doing my best to show up. And it's very hard for me to show up. So if you don't mind covering ACO Club and how we can in the future put them on our YouTubes, and I hope you'll carry them on your YouTube channel, and we can either do them weekly, every 2 weeks, or once a month, because some people commit different times and some don't want to commit at all. But the 5 A's with the ACO Club meetings, as an individual, how would you explain that?
Okay.
Is it in a book already, or no? Is it something like Wayne Dyer did?
I've got it in a webinar that I can send out, the 5 A's, and it goes into more detail. But let me talk about change, first of all, because I think change, I know change is the constant in life. It's like I've been speaking at Jeff Babner's event for the last approximately 20 years. And one of the PowerPoints that I've got, it's got 4 different companies on it. It's got Google, it's got Amazon, it's got LinkedIn, and it's got Zoom. And I say, all 4 of these companies were not in existence when I started in business. And all 4 of those have either had a positive or negative impact on how we do business today. You're talking about different ways that we can meet up. You've got Zoom where you can put, 1,000 people on a Zoom call. You can have it recorded, and that way people can log in and listen to it at their own time. But as we're looking at change, and one of the books, and actually you can go to YouTube and watch the movie. It's about 15 minutes, and I just really love. It's Who Moved My Cheese, and the reason I love it so much, and for those of you that might not have or be aware of it, cheese is a metaphor for change, and basically it's about 4 characters going through the maze of life. it's two mice, Skim and Scurry, and it's two miniature human beings called Hem and Haw. And so they're looking for their cheese, and ultimately as they're searching, finally, because they're friends, they all come across the cheese, and so they move closer to the cheese. They end up joining country clubs and sort of like kicking back and living a life of Riley, and all of a sudden, over a period of time, the cheese runs out. So anyhow, Skim and Scurry ultimately go to their closet, get out their running shoes, and get back into the maze of life. But Hem and Haw sat back, and because they're humans, they had this brain, and so they sat back and tried to figure out what's happening. Why is it happening to me? The constant again is change. Change is always going to happen. So the point is, are you going to be a victim of the change, or are you going to use that change to catapult you to create the kind of life that you want to create? See, again, it goes back to responsibility. It's recognizing the change and taking responsibility for the life and making a difference. One of the things I quite often will say is we all have two B-days, a birthday and a box day. In between, there's a dash. It's like, how do we live a life of significance? Rather than just being a participant in life and not making a difference. And we can all make a difference. There's many different ways that we can make a difference. So anyhow, with that, I'll go into the 5 A's and the law of attraction. You mentioned The Secret, and I love The Secret because really what The Secret did is it brought it to the consciousness level that there is what they call a law of attraction. Obviously, it was out there beforehand, but, the lady that created that movie, created the book, really took it to because it caught on, and many more people started to realize that, hey, there's something called the law of attraction. So what I try to do is try to get more specific in a way that would help people, really make the law of attraction work for them. It doesn't matter what you're looking to attract. It just so happens, I got very, very lucky, and I love the acronym of LUCK, which is laboring under correct knowledge. But, I got very lucky. I met the right lady, but I dated a lot of women before I got married. So when I finally came across the one that I could connect with and that had a similar vision of what we wanted to do. But again, going back to the law of attraction, the first thing is being aware of what you want. I don't care if it's finding the right mate, if it's having the right body, having the right finances, having the right kind of lifestyle. It doesn't make any difference. It's still, you've got to be aware of what it is that you want. Once you're aware and crystal clear, I love the saying, my crystal ball is clear, but it's not crystal clear. But you need to get clarity about what it is that you want before you go into the other 4 A's. The next A is affirmations. You can take a look at, say visualization, meditate, or whatever you want to say. But the reason why I believe that is so important is because of the fact that we live in such a negative world, so to speak. When I'm saying negative world, we all have the tendency of self-talk, and most people don't even realize it. It's like my wife will quite often say to me, "What are you saying to yourself?" And when you're not speaking, unfortunately, most people, for whatever reason, programming, whatever the case is, are not necessarily saying the right positive things. So you want to create whatever the affirmations are in relationship to what it is that you're looking to attract into your life. The next A is accept. You need to accept the changes that word again, you need to accept the changes that you need to make to attract whatever it is that you want to bring into your life. For example, if you want to lose weight, you probably need to accept the fact that you need to change the kind of foods you eat. You need to change the amount of foods that you eat. If you want to make more money, it's like you probably need to reduce the amount of the electronic income reducing machine that you probably spend too much time on. The TV. And if some of the things that I say hurt, I'm sorry, but bottom line is, if you want to make more money, you probably need to start reading some of the books. There's an old saying, readers are leaders. You take a look at most of the people that are very successful. They read a lot. They listen to the right kind of personal growth kind of material rather than, watching TV or listening to a lot of music, even though I love music. I mean, one of the things I told you yesterday, my cousin's Bobby Dylan. When I was in Minnesota, I used to play basketball with Jimmy Jams, who played with Prince, and Terry Lewis and Jerome Benton. They were, people that were basketball. I went to school with Stevie Greenberg, who wrote the song Lip Sync from Funky Town. But again, you've got to accept the changes necessary that will allow you to create the kind of life that you want. And then the next A is action. You've got to get into action. Unless you do something, chances of things just happening probably aren't going to just happen. So in relationship to what you want to attract, you've got to actually do something, chances are. And then the fifth A, which to me is one of the most important, is the attitude of gratitude. You got to be grateful for where you are as you're in the process of attracting what you want to attract into your life. In fact, one of the things I highly recommend that people do is write down 3 to 5 things that you're grateful right now that you've got in your life. I mean, my original mentor used to always say or tell me, he says, look at what you're grateful for, and then write down 3 to 5 things of what you're going to be grateful for that you're in the process of bringing into your life. So it's the attitude of gratitude. Be grateful as you're continually looking at attracting the things that you want to attract. And you've got to have the belief and knowingness that if you continually have the proper actions, that you deserve and will attract the things that you want. It might not happen overnight. One time somebody asked me in this business, they said, is it easy? And I didn't even have to hesitate. I didn't say, no, this is an easy business. I said, no, it's not easy, but it's worth it. It's worth it if you do the right things in the right ways and create the results that you really want to create. So, as a strategist, basically I try to focus on, and it doesn't matter what it is. I don't care if it's a network marketing business or it's a business in general, because there's similarities in everything. But I take a look at, ultimately what is in relationship to what they want to be. One of the TV programs I happen to love is it's called The Prophet with Marcus Lemonis. And the reason I like it so much is because, he goes in and he's willing to write a check based on the 3 Ps, people, product, and processes. And what amazes me, and the majority of the time he is able to help struggling business as he's funding and sharing his wisdom and knowledge with the owner of the business. He's able to help struggling businesses become very successful. But the other thing that really amazes me is the few times where, that he's willing to do this and people sabotage the success. It's just amazing to watch that happen. So anyhow, I could continually talk and talk. I know I've hit a lot of different subject matters, so I'll let you talk a little bit, Teresa, and see some of the other things you might want to talk about or have me talk about.
Wow, Robert, you're easy to work with, that's for sure. Now, there's no coincidence that we have a businessman running the United States of America, folks. He gives up his money, okay? He doesn't – I don't know that I would do that. I don't know that I could give up my salary, but it was pittance, okay, to run the United States of America internationally. I'm telling you, it's pittance. And most of you people that know multi-billionaires, we could talk about Warren Buffett. I think he does people, products, and process too, something similar to that. You may know, Robert. But the people that listen to people like myself and Robert, they want to be around successful people. But they also want to be around the other side of the people that walked away from all the glitz and glamour, but yet we still watch, just like The Prophet, okay, on TV. And, he likes different people, and I believe he's the one that has Camper's World or something over in California. You probably know him better than I do. But I know the show you're talking about, and there are very few shows, but I grew up, folks, on K&E KNOE, out of Monroe, Louisiana. James A. Noe on that station. So I thought I was going to be in television as a little girl because I took from Mary Lou, Pat Young, and Linda Lavender of Monroe, Louisiana. And I went to school there all the way up through high school, and then we transferred to Houston, and I got to see the big city. But, people, we can't run from who we are, where we were born. And so talking individually, I would like to learn how to associate. And I paid a lot of money to learn how to go to the Tony Robbins things and 5,000. I've seen a lot of my friends go into the WOW and the WIN. And here I have Robert Butwin and my company before. We started the World Information Network, and we did Eco Expo with a lot of people. But, we were wanting to save the environment, and we can get behind all kinds of things. But this next chapter we're going to share together because we've got one planet as the stewards of this planet. We're using the Ascension Age, which I wrote books about, knowing Cosmology. The Ascension Age is the only one that really inside the internet gives me credit for, other than China, where they did quote me and use my zero theory, and now we're promoting many other organizations. Robert, people are listening to the President of the United States because we were, I guess, after World War II, I don't know if you know the history well, but as individuals, we look forward to talking to our world leaders. But we also want to know, even though we're saying we don't need money and we're minimalist and we're changing and we'll grow our own seeds and all that, but we need our farmers still. And we're doing things because we can't really grow our own food the way we'd like to anymore. We don't own the land. But look at all the things that we say, if, and, but, should, would, could, all of those things. And yet you and I come together for whatever reason. But I feel like it's communication, and communications is one of the things that we still need: food, clothing, shelter, caring, action, whatever else. But help us out, because I put you and I today with the ACO Club by invitation only under current events. Do you know I've never, in all the years that I've been working with radio, television, rip and read, or just helping people make CDs, DVDs, or write songs with BMI or IBMA or any of those companies, I've never done a current event. So can we walk into that? That's a path I've never been down before. I'm glad to get to go down that path. Current events. Now, I don't know how that's going to do on my iTunes, because in all my syndication with Spotify and all the FM radio and Stitcher and Spreaker. Help me out here, because this goes out all over the place. I can't tell you all the numbers, and I'm willing to pay the extra money, folks, that not everybody can. So as we go forward, Robert, you and I today in current events, should we as individual soul entrepreneurs at home, or soul, how do they say it, soulpreneur? You can help me. How are we going to all in this next chapter? What is it called? Soulpreneur? How do we do that in the next chapter?
How do you become a soulpreneur? Well, first of all, the biggest way the biggest aspect of doing that is knowing that that's something you want to do. I believe that people need to want to do it. Jim Rohn, who was the guy that actually was the guy that mentored Tony Robbins. I mean, when Tony Robbins started off, most people don't realize it, but he was homeless. He was living in his car and working for Jim Rohn. But, and Herbalife paid him $1 million a year more, not to speak in front of any other direct marketing company. But one of the things that Jim would say is, are you serious? First you got to look at, what do you really want to do? And then the next question is, are you serious? There's an old saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. When somebody's ready, the mentor will appear. What changed my life, first of all, it was Wayne Dyer, and, just me listening to him and realizing that I wanted to make the change. And then I started searching out for the right mentors. I didn't find the right personal mentor right away, but I found indirect mentors. I can guide people to a lot of information that they can get at YouTube for free. But then you want to probably find a direct mentor that listening to your intuition, your screen of logic. We've all got screens of logic that will take you under his wing or her wing, so to speak, and give you guide you in a way that will help you create the success that you want. The biggest thing, and I saw a list of, like, for example, the top 10 people that, the top 10 money earners, so to speak. I think one of them was copywriting. Another one was selling. But, most people have this phobia about selling. Now, I look at myself as a sales professional, and let me give you a quick, simple definition of selling for a second. All selling really is presenting information when appropriate. That's the key word, when appropriate, that allows somebody to make an informed decision. A person that's a sales pro is going to sit back and listen to the other person, not try to sell them anything. I mean, obviously in life we want to influence people, but you don't want to influence people in a way that's going to be manipulative. So you want to be able to influence people on things that are right for them. So if you're going to find out what's right for them, you've got to take the time to understand where they are, what they want to accomplish, and help them create a strategy in relationship to their skill sets. And if they don't have the right kind of skill sets, plug them into information that will allow them to gain the kind of skill sets. But, to me, I believe there's never been a better time in the world to get wealthy. And I believe that more people, especially with what's happening in the marketplace today, are really open to it. I mean, most people are starting to realize that they need to have a second income, and what they call multiple streams of income. In fact, I can tell you as far back as I know where that came from, because I was at the seminar when Robert Allen, who's the guy who made it popular, and it might have come from somebody before this, but it was from Bernie Dorman. He used to have a course called IBI, which was for Income Builders International, which actually became CEO space. But he used to always teach people to have multiple streams of income. So, but, if you're just trading your time for money, to me, in our marketplace today, we need to have additional streams of income, a second source of income. And, so anyhow, I totally believe that.
Was IBI from Alabama? I ran across that guy, and I joined that, and I'm a world member of IBI, International.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a world member of that, or a lifetime member of that. So I guess I paid my dues. They were out of Birmingham, Alabama. I think I met them in
I want to say
your
Huntsville.
country,
No,
Long Beach.
What? Huntsville.
It was
I think
IBI.
it was Huntsville. Yeah.
Was it Huntsville, Alabama? All right. Well, Alabama anyway. All right. So
you
know who
Alabama,
it is.
And it was Bernie Dorman, and actually he learned it from his dad. But yes, that was as far back, and it might have come from somebody before that. But that's where, and again, I was, once you went through the course, and I went through the course, and like both of us, we went through all the different seminars. We listened to the CDs, we read the books, and then we took the proper action. But again, we made it human. The key in everything that we did is we made it human. It's everything that you do is about people, making a positive difference in other people's lives. And if you do that,
Robert.
Yes.
Robert, you made it human, because I don't know how synchronicity works, but you made it human, just like I heard, because you didn't know I was a member of IBI, like forever, or whatever they offered me, because I went through and paid but folks, back then I had money, so to speak, but I had more money than I do now because I'm retired, but I'm in shock. So now you've awed me, the wow. Wow, but when? Wow, but when? So, Robert, you knew this guy, or you went through all that? Well,
yes.
I mean, tell me about it so people can know where that stuff. Are we going to do it again? Are we going to educate the next level, like the third waivers, because the Ascension Age
again,
and the Law of One? Because I'm Ta Ra of the Ra's in the 80s and 90s when we were all channeling all that stuff. Let's go back to IBI. Tell me, I mean, maybe part of that is recreation, or we don't want to reinvent the wheel, but we need models for the future in May. Hey, go ahead.
Well, it's a lot easier to do it today than ever before, because you can do webinars. We can invite guest people. As you mentioned, I don't have my own channel. I've always been guests on other people's channels. Today, you can find the people that have the wisdom, insight, perspective, and then you can have people come and listen to it, just like the people that are listening tonight to the two of us speak. You know, the key is if we're communicating the right message in the right way, we will attract the right audience. I think there was a movie called Field of Dreams. What is it? What was it? Build it and they will come.
Yeah, people said Ahmed Painter, one of my associates in American Communication Line and Allied Command for our military, he said, well, we built it and they came, now what? That's what he said with the ACO, this club, American Communications Online. So he's waiting for the other shoe to drop because he made us our journal for Allied Command Department of American Communications Online. And we put it on, and he did it, and then he had to go back to work for Mike since Mike passed and run our Revolution Radio Club. So he's running one of our clubs, Revolution.Radio, which was freedomslips.com. But anyway, so what are you talking about with the Field of Dreams? You use that now as an analogy or a movie. We love to use movies because it opens up the mind if people can see it, or maybe they'll go, aha, maybe I should see that. So where are you going with that, Field of Dreams?
Well,
build it.
You know, you're asking me, you know, back in the day we did the seminars and charged a lot of money. Today with technology, you know, you can, for example, and I don't know if you're recording this, you know, what we're talking about, but if you have different guests on and you cover you have the right information, you can create a membership site. And you can charge a small monthly fee, and instead of going to the seminar, again, it's, you know, it's creating the information or capturing the information that will help change people's life. You know, if you help people change their life in a way that really has a positive impact. And one of the things that one of my mentors said, if you build people, people build businesses. It's that simple. Focus on what you can do to make a positive difference in other people, and ultimately, good things will happen. Let's put it that way.
Well, we're entrepreneurs, but, you know, everybody, whether they want to be or not, they're being thrown into their homes and being told to keep their distance like you did today, going shopping, keeping your 6 feet. But we're only allowed really to go out and get things we need, folks, so I could understand. But since you mentioned Trader Vic's, I need to ask what that is because I don't know over here. But
Trader Joe's.
It's Trader Joe's. Okay, yeah. But if we go out and have to buy things, those are products, and then we have services. But we're still allowed to, I guess, go to the doctor if we need to or the hospital. But we're all about integrative medicine now, and Janet didn't really want to be about that, but she's one of my good friends at Ascension Center, and she's been running that network out of Maui, Hawaii, and I'm really big on, I forgot his first name, it starts with the R. Leith. Liesc, I think. But he's in Maui, but he's a great physicist. So we're working in all the other dimensions, and like Dolores Cannon did densities with me, and I had to meet her when I came from Hawaii, and they took me right to her, our higher guides, if you want to say, our angelic realm, or avatar master groups. But it feels like you're creating a think tank, or what did Augie Nest want to do? There's people that like to hang out together, and we could do this weekly, monthly if you want to, Robert, but we're entrepreneurs and we're home, and that's your thing. You've been doing it for how many years now, 30 or 40 years, but you're asked to go speak, helping us build the global community. But we don't want to be, we're caught. You know, when we did IBI, or we came up with our WOW, or we did our WIN, and okay, so we got in these groups and we did this and we got all excited, and then we'd leave and we'd lose that aura or that energy, or, you know, the chakra balancing we were doing. But now what? We're on lockdown. But when we come out May 1st, you know, people probably get checks for April or subsidies or whatever. But come in May with your Street Smart networking, but we're writing a new chapter. Is there going to be still big places, but is there going to, what do we do? Did we cut the middle guy out? Is there only going to be solo entrepreneurs at home on the internet? Tell me what's going on, because I'm big on space exploration with the big names, but my people are all stay-at-home, retired 60 to 80 or 80 to 105, and we've been activated to come back out, and especially our volunteers and our military and our churches. But help me out here, because are the poor people supposed to take care of the poor people, or where's the money we're going to make between the entrepreneurs and the big companies that you were shopping at today? You know what I'm saying? Where's the middle ground? Are we building it?
Here's where I see the middle ground. It's in a simple word. It's balance. You want to balance, and again, it's like you can learn on YouTube. We can create a membership site. The balance of how to make money is, it's like I'm in an affiliate program that I make money by helping educate people how they can live longer, age more gracefully by making small little changes. I've got a simple formula. It's less and more. My business is Success Strategist, Simple Skills at Work. My formula is less of the negative things, more of the positive things. Less of, as far as the foods, eat less of the, the deep fried foods, the soda pops, the sugars, the salts, eat less of those, more superfoods. When it comes to, for example, what you're putting in your mind, because again, to me, it's about three parts: what you put in your mind, what you put in your body, and your actions. Acting under proper knowledge. So when it gets to put in your mind, watch less of the TV, watch less or listen to less of music, and focus more on positive things to put in your mind if you want to make positive changes in your life. I mean, if you're satisfied and you're complacent and you're settling, that's fine. Then you can continue. Music is great. I mean, my wife loves watching The Voice, and right now is American Idol. I mean, she loves music. But again, everything is in relationship to what you're looking to accomplish. To me, what I'm looking to do is make positive changes, helping people make positive changes in their life. Everything goes back to how you look at it. I remember a story that, and I can't remember who originally said it to me or where I heard it from, but it's about this shoe salesman that is looking to expand into a third world country. So he calls his top two executives in, and he sends them to the third world country, and he says, we're looking to expand down there, and ultimately I'd like to see what your perspective or insights are if it's an area that we should expand to. After about 2 days, the one guy, calls back and says, I'm coming back. Nobody's wearing shoes, no market down here. A couple of days later, the other guy calls back and he says, you better send your production engineer people here immediately. Nobody's wearing shoes, tremendous market. It's how you look at things. The question goes back to what it is somebody's looking to accomplish. If you want to make money, and I talked about the 5 A's and the law of attraction, it's getting clear and focused on the things necessary. Right now there's a lot of people that are hungry out there. There's a lot of people that have been laid off that had their eyes opened up to the fact that things aren't as stable as they thought they were, and they're open to it. Again, there's many different ways. I'm involved with an affiliate program that helps that pays me to help people. I don't collect money from other people. I make money by helping other people become successful.
Wow, that's wonderful. Well, you think the ACO Club, of course, I tell people that we're going to make a directory for those that we trust, because part of my gig when I was working with GoDaddy, and I still am actually, I didn't renew my license as a reseller, but I do have a pro board. But, I'm doing my Google, and I'm still working with companies internationally, and they know podcasting, and they know everything's going video because we've got these smartphones now. But even they're coming to me because I supported 20 or 30 years people doing websites, which you didn't grab hold on very well. I understand, but that just wasn't your thing, or that wasn't one of your things, but it was one of mine. But now, we're going into these phones, and everybody knew that we were going to the apps, but now we're in TMI, what we call too much information. But that's TM for Teresa Morris, I for information, TMI, too much information. But we've got to take the words, and we can't eat our words. And I've tried to give my daughter money to go get me something I wanted that I was out of, which is easier. She's got avocados at home, but that's for her family, and I'm over here by myself. So I told her, here, just take this, and she's got a letter saying she can shop for this household to get me some guacamole. I shouldn't say that, but I like guacamole. It's healthy. So, we're helping each other, but I told her we need a delivery service, and we've got Uber, and we got these other companies that are doing that where the people will go and shop for them, but not everybody wants to be a delivery person, and it's basically minimum wage, $8.50. I guess it's $10.50 now. I don't even know anymore, folks, because I'm just getting activated to come back in as a retiree from the government back out here helping people. And Robert, I don't know, Robert, do you have an income you just said affiliate, so I'm trying to work that into my brain because we know cash is king right now is what all the entrepreneurs, even that guy that talks, owns a football thing on the Shark. What is his name? The dark-headed guy. Do you ever watch Shark?
Yeah, Mr. Wonderful.
The other one, he's the bald-headed guy, the football dude at the end. God, how can I forget his name?
Mark Cuban.
There you go. Yeah, he came on, and he comes on a lot of these shows in the stock market and stuff like that. But he wasn't investing for a couple of weeks, and but things are going up and down internationally. So you mentioned affiliates, so that made my mind start wandering. But let's talk about, we can help people, and a lot of people, they'll say they don't watch TV, but they'll slip in certain television shows. Like, I love to study people. I watch Survivor, I ain't gonna lie. And I watch The Bachelor because I just happen to watch, like younger people, and watch how they choose. So I guess I'm an analyst still. But how can we do analyst, affiliate, and TV, and what people like? And I like to do polls, and I like to know statistics, but not everybody's into the nuts and bolts. We are interfacing, you and I, to other people.
When you're talking about affiliates, most people don't realize Amazon started off and still has got an affiliate model that goes with it. If you want to recommend, you could become an affiliate of Amazon and make, I don't know how much they pay, if it's 5-6%, not a lot, but they've got an affiliate model. Affiliate basically just is just a way that if I introduce you to buying from a certain company, I make a small commission. I've worked on affiliates, and usually most network marketing or multi-level marketing, they've got a leverage business model that goes along with them. And again, there's good and bad companies, in MLM, just like there's good and bad companies, in business. You take a look at certain companies that are going out of business. So an affiliate program is just something that it's like if I tell you to go eat at this restaurant, the restaurant realizes that rather than spending money on advertising, if I use word of mouth and pay people to guide me to traffic or guide me to customers, not traffic, customers, people that come in and spend money on my establishment, rather than spending on advertising, I'll give it back to the person that introduced me to this customer. That's really what an affiliate is.
Well, these places that are hurting right now, they don't have their waitresses in their service industry. My daughter's in hospitality, and she's actually having to work, but they cut her back to just 2 days a week. And, people were only working 32 hours a week. A lot of them in Gulf Breeze, where I live. It's sort of it's a good area code. Is it area code 32563 is the zip code. And I noticed internationally, whether it's thrown up or not, different people in different zip codes have different jobs, and especially here in America. And I'm wondering how we're all going to find a place and space to work together. So would we, in an affiliate program, let's say you and me with ACO Club, we set this up and we want to keep in touch with people because we're in communications and we're spokespeople, or we're people that have a voice, or we communicate, folks, okay? Communicate information. So we're educators, and I have Teresa J. Morris Ministries, which is licensed to do business as a ministry of education, a minister of education. And then on the other hand, I guess American Communications Online is the holding company or the company. We can do all things allowed by law, basically, but it's American Communications Online, ergo ACO Club. And the club is by invitation only right now. But, I did meet Sam Walton. He carried my groceries in when he opened Sam's, I believe, out in Hawaii. He came out and grabbed my buggy. My husband was always saying at that time, he's passed, he says, how do you do that in the world? You always meet the person in charge. And I said, I don't know. He said, well, who would know he was going to come out and get your buggy and talk to you and tell you, I'm Sam Walton. I said, I have no clue. I don't know. I just know the universe gives me always. See you at the top. Zig Ziglar told me that once, and I had no clue who he was. So I got a free ticket or something from Marianne Mobley and her husband in Houston or something, so I went. But I don't get it. So help us. Does affiliates, they like to be with the people that either have all the money or have all the luck in the world. Like, why would I have paid? And somebody paid for me $5,000 to go do the Tony Robbins thing, get the big wow and the win. So, and then Tony Robbins was going to be a speaker, and then my girlfriend's been on the stage and opened with Tony Robbins and Deepak Chopra, but they would never guess it was Janet Lesson, but with her husband, Alexander Sasha Lesson. So what are we doing here? And why? I'm really amazed. Why are you and I talking? I mean, it means something. Like you said, build it and they will come, but it's bigger than that even. So you think affiliate is going to last? I'm asking you so much.
The answer is yes.
Yes and yes.
There's no question affiliate's going to be around. It's been around for 30, 40, 50 years. I mean, MLM's been around longer than that. And again, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. It's that easy. And so affiliate marketing is just a form. It's another form of marketing. It's, me recommending and promoting something that I believe in. That's
so
really
people,
all it is.
if they hear this or they know us or they want to know us, they can get in touch with us on LinkedIn or Facebook, or these are all social networks, Pinterest, what's the others, Twitter, but the thing is, I can't even find myself.
Lineable's another one. Facebook's another one. What else? I mean, one of the guys I met on LinkedIn is just started one called In the Tribe. I could give you his information. Then somebody else just gave me another one called, I think it's SHARP. And there's going to be more and more of these social networks that are going to continually pop up. I know one of them used to be called Referral Key, and now it's called POD. But one of the things I've learned in marketing is it's like I test everything. It's like, if I'm putting my time and energy and effort into something, am I getting some kind of return in relationship to what my expectations are?
Right. And I used to train mystics, oracles, psychics, sages, seers, over 1,500, one at a time. That wasn't easy, folks, but I did it over a 50-some-odd year period. But after all the training, I decided I'd put some money into it, right? But it's God, it's chosen. And people say, that's hubris, but not really. I felt chosen by God in the Gold Pyramid in Hawaii, in Houston, and then I met Stephen Halpern because of it, which was the father of the New Age music, so to speak. But I loved his piano, and he gave me a CD out of the back of his card, and he meant to pay for it. Everybody else is paying $10, and he said I could send it to him if I wanted to, but don't worry about it, because I kept saying no. But, it was just where God put me, and he's come on my radio show and helped me with the Global Pyramid Conference. Now here Robert Butwin is helping me globally as an author with our Global Information Security or International Intermodal Community, whatever you want to call us in the future. But Robert, I am in TMI. So these apps, we're going to have TMI. We got to delete some of them off our phones. Do you know what's going to be next? If right now we're in app world and too much information coming out. So you're saying we've got to coal or the tribe or find the niche, or I'm in a niche market: paranormal, social science. So I have TJ Morris ET, ACO Social Service Club, but these things are long. But what do you think is the next? You said all these people starting their little groups and niches, which we've been doing for years, since 2006, and they're all free. So everybody's going, okay, we did this, now what? Because all we did was make all the international stock market people that own the stock and Google and Amazon and Facebook, or they made them rich. I guess there's nothing wrong with that if they give us something in return. But do you have an insight, your own connection to God or source or whatever you want to call it out there?
Of well, I think it's going to be these group webinars is going to be next, like Zoom. Since what's going on, I mean, Zoom's stock and the amount of people using things like Zoom, which replaced Skype, and there's going to be newer and better versions of Zoom coming out. I mean, you've got one called, StreamYard is another one, a way to have like group webinars and be able to broadcast it and put it up on all these different sites. But again, I think the more that we're able to connect with people, keeping it human, and feeding people information that will help them move forward or create more results. I mean, think about it. Today, anytime I want to know something, all I do is say, Google, what's the weather going to be like? Or Google, what's this? Or, or Alexa, it's gotten to the point that we're able to plug into using technology. In fact, I was watching 60 Minutes just this last week, and they've got a bunch of the people that survived the Holocaust, and they've made or taken pictures of them, asking them like thousands of questions so that they can live on after they're dead. In fact, a couple of the people that they actually did the interviews of have died since that point in time, and people are able to go up there, wherever they're at, and ask them different questions and get answers.
All right, so we still go with what my mother's close to her deathbed said. Jan, we are the author of our own life story. Now, I just know that my mom, since then, she had me get the publishing company because before she died, she told me, do the e-books to keep our family together. And Grandpa Morris, my husband, my late husband, the last husband, 108 years and 9 months, almost made it 109. He became a Kentucky colonel out of Kentucky. But he asked me to run his ministry for him, and it was Protestant, but that's okay. It was non-denominational. And my husband said to his own grandpa, Grandpa, don't ask her to do that. And he was like, why not? You're not going to do it. And he was blood. But he had been my Thomas Ray Morris, great agent for our government. He was an international hero. He was a great man, and I want to keep up his name. That's why I kept it, But there's so many people that have legacies, and I in one way or another, they were here on this radio show, believe it or not, and I deleted by accident Stanton T. Friedman, which is big, and he helped me found the UFO Association, and George Fowler asked me not to forget him, but Stan Lee and Michael Jackson, oh my gosh, so many people with the ACO Association, people that I've known, but I've lost their archives. So this is the question people are asking me now. So I'm going to ask you, Robert, where are we going to keep
cloud
their voices?
The cloud.
The cloud. Well, that's what everybody's been saying since 2005, but it's 20 now. It's 15 years of cloud-based. But where is it going? Where is the information kept? Is that the mountains they're building in Utah, the NSA, or what? Is it only for NSA? But what about you and me and the people we collect and our history groups, our archives? Where is it going?
It goes back to what I said earlier on the show. My crystal ball is clear, but it's not crystal clear. I mean, I might know a lot, but there's certain things I don't know where things are going to go.
Well, I don't know either. That's why I was asking you. We can go into what they call them quasi-crystals is the big thing now. So I'll give you folks that. Quasi-crystals and the G8 and helping Lise over there in Maui. And we're doing all this, and we're going to be teaching you about the dimensions. And if you're following the raw material, all of us that channeled back in the 80s and before the IBI or with the IBA, 80s and 90s groups, we were the people that brought forth the first, second, third wave ideas with Dolores Cannon and the channeling, and a lot of people didn't believe in it, and a lot of people didn't believe in higher self. But it was basically spiritual science and teaching people through metaphysics how to get outside their own reality, where an apple is an apple, but when you think about it, is it really an apple? Because it's a thought. So we're going to start teaching you other dimensions, other realms, other densities, things that haven't really been talked about in the past that we call quantum physics, but it's above that in our organization. So think about the quasi-crystals and what it is outside of reality, because we're going to be discussing and bringing in our science and our theology and our psychology, philosophy, and bringing it all together to the next level, because that's the next chapter, because we've got to learn it. You got to be it in order to do it, in order to have it. Remember the be, do, have principle, Robert? Did you ever apply that? Be, do, have.
I talk about that all the time. You know, it's what you, yep, all the time. Be, do, have. It was in my book. You know, I talked about it in my book, which was published in 1994.
Yeah, that was when it was big. Street Smart Networking. Now, you know I haven't read your book, and you know I didn't even know about you, but I didn't know you'd been through IBI either. So this is a strange conversation we're having. All right, so you covered what I just said, be, do, have, folks. So do you know it's a be, do, have principle? I did not make it up. He's roughly, what am I, 6 months older than you? You're born May 52, roughly, or maybe you get upset with me because I said that.
That's when I was born. You know, another person I learned a lot from was Dr. Robert Anthony. And, you know, he talked about, and he gave the analogy, you know, if you go down to the river of life with a thimble, you're only going to get a thimble of water. If you go down with a cup, you're going to get a cup of water. If you go down with a semi, you can, you know, get a semi full of water. I mean, life will give you whatever you want. But one of the other things that he said that really made a difference to me is he said there's certain lessons we're supposed to learn in life, and until you learn that lesson, life will continually trip you up in the lesson you're supposed to learn. So, you know, again, it's how we learn the lessons that we're supposed to learn so that we can move on to the next level.
All right, so we're going to do quasi-crystals, folks. Quasi-crystals, if you're into the new age. Them quasi-crystals. But I've had to learn a lot of languages. Apparently you have too, Robert, and we're, oh, wow. Really? Okay, I guess that's a jet. Yeah, it is. I can hear it. I was like, this big white light came right through the dark, through the windows. Talk about reality, folks. Are we here, or are we just an illusion or a delusion of our own self somewhere else? But nowadays we're saying we're many places and many densities we just can't see through, or it's a bleed over, and the harmonies like music or sound vibrations. We're all particles and waves, and now we're more than that. And we realize, so we're using the golden rule, at least here in America today, because it was on television and the president said it in the news, and, well, actually it was Pence, Mike Pence from Indiana, where two or more gathered in his name, he is there also. But he said it a little different way, where two or more gathered. He didn't say God, he just said also. I don't know that. You can go back and listen to it on the news and on YouTube. Thank God for YouTube. So YouTube's the big thing. A lot of people say, I don't listen to TV anymore. I just skip over to YouTube. And I can't believe, but I've gotten into that too. So I use my TiVo. I listen to things. If I want to go back, I'm copying them, and I go back and listen. And these YouTubes, we're going to be there, Robert, where this is going to be out there. Now, we didn't do video. We did audio today, and we may do video in the future. I've noticed I'm the one that's been shy, and I've got some little bitty miniature things because I didn't want to come out because I was working in the UFO Association and CUFOs and J. Allen Hynek kind of stuff, and I didn't really want to be out there. But now that I'm retired, and you've done the same path I have, basically, which is hard to believe. You and I are roughly the same age, 6 months difference. I was born 1226. I'm a Capricorn. You're a Gemini, you said, for
Yep.
those astrology people. Now, whether y'all believe in all that or not, we don't care. So we're not going to judge. But, Robert, I'm finding this a rather shock and awe kind of situation. I don't know where to go. We've got 35 minutes left, and we started late. Where do you want to go with this last 35 minutes? Because your book, Street Smart Networking, I need to know, can you write another ebook or PDF, or can we do something together since we've crossed the same path? Sometimes I ask people that, and they act like they can do it by themselves, or they'll ask me to do one with them. I can add a chapter. But maybe we should do something starting in May, or maybe we should do a video or every 2 weeks or once a month. I don't know. You got any hits for?
Well, I'm happy to, I've got a lot of different quality people that've got great messages. I'm happy to come back on. I personally don't like video, and I can tell you why.
Okay.
I don't mind people seeing me, but I've got what they call droopy eyes.
Me too. I do too. I didn't know you shared that.
Yeah, and so it looks like my eyes are closed. So, I mean, when I'm on stage, it's no problem, but when I'm just in front of like a video for a long period of time, it looks like I'm there speaking with my eyes closed. I mean, I got no problem being on a video for a short period of time, but to be on a video for a couple hours,
that's a good point. We should do 30 minutes because I have the same problem. So does one of my associates, John Tenayuka in California, where you are. And he was going to show up today, but I'm sure he'll listen because he helps me in California with our articles and bylaws with Barbara Jean Lindsay and Brett Luter out of California. There's 3 people that know each other from the conferences. But he wants to do video production, and he works a lot with Sedona, California, and the Sedona, Arizona people, a lot over there. But different people in my group already you don't know yet, and they don't know you. But isn't that interesting that you and we don't know each other, and we've been in the same groups with the same people. But I don't know what to call that. But people, how many people are walking around, about 8 billion, and you can't know them all. So we've only got so much time, and we've only got so much space. And then if we're going to do videos, but that's what people want. They want it to come to. They want to know what you look like on their phone, so they can trust you. And that doesn't even mean you're going to trust them. But we're doing that because so many people were anonymous, or they were. What do they call them? Not avatar. Yeah, they call them avatars. Remember while we were doing all these domains, we had all these people, and they'd show up. A lot of them would be scammers and spammers. And it got to be after Facebook went and told the government, what's his name? Mark, what's his name? Zuckerberg? What's his name, Rob? What is
Zuckerberg.
With a Z, Zuckerberg. How could I forget it? Movie and all. Now he's got $5 billion or something, $5 million stuck away to pay. But they got my information, and he had to send me, or his company, Facebook, had to send me something about those people that collected information on me because I had 20 or 30 in my name plus groups, and I still have pages and groups with over 5,000 or whatever. But are you on that, Robert? Did you get one of those? Was it, what I'm talking about? The British people or some company got stuff from him?
Yeah, Cambridge Analytic.
Oh, gosh, you remembered. Looky there, folks. He's not that old yet because I knew what I was talking about, but I couldn't remember what it was. So they got my stuff. So they sent me letters, and I didn't care, but I guess I'm supposed to care in some of the circles. All right, so Cambridge Analytica. How are we going to deal with people that we don't know who they are? Is that what you and I are about, is the old school, the old traditions of trusting people? I seem to trust you, and I've never met you.
Well, first of all, there's 3 different acronyms of fear, and I'll talk about that in a second, because I'm not personally fearful of anything, but as far as if you're looking to do video, Zoom or StreamYard, I like Zoom because if you and I are speaking, the person that's speaking shows up on the video, but you can see everybody else, you know who else is there. unless they turn their video off, which is fine. But, when you're talking about fear, and I love the movie The Lion King because it shows, it gives you the 3 different areas of fear throughout that movie. And the first one, for those of you that don't remember the movie or might not have seen The Lion King, it's where, Simba, which is the baby lion cub that was just born, and his dad was Mufasa, and his dad's brother Scar wanted to take out Mufasa. He wanted to get rid of him. So he has Simba go into a canyon and ultimately calls the water buffaloes or whoever it was, and they stamp old Mufasa, and he's killed, and Simba thinks that he was responsible. So the first part of fear is false evidence appearing real. He thought he was responsible for his dad's death. So he did the second acronym for fear, which is F everything and ran. He went off and started living a life of Riley, and ultimately one day he gets a message from the hereafter from his dad. He said, "Son, you are more than you have become." So he did the third acronym of fear, which is face everything and rise. He rose to the occasion, went back and confronted his Uncle Scar. But the bottom line is, what's there to be fearful about? If you know that you're showing up with the proper intention, that you're there to make a positive difference, I've got nothing to hide. I know that I'm living my life doing the best that I can and focused on what I can do to make a positive impact and difference in other people's lives. So to me, I don't care about all the other stuff about people collecting my data or any of the other stuff.
Okay, well, that's good. So, and what is this trust that we feel in the see, I have books written about the ascension age and about the future, and I believe in God. That's my choice, but I felt chosen because I have seen where I followed this impression, intuition, or these other realities of me, but I've died in this life, and I've died several times. But, that's clinical. I came back, but I wanted to come back. But people that know about this ascension age and, everything we built after 12-21-12 and all the people that were in the different groups and tribes and the powers of light and the light workers and the truth seekers, we all had our own language, and we all came together, and we've created this, and we were all doing these things, channeling our higher selves and working with our superconscious and, learning with those we trust, those we don't, those that brought in a lot of people in the spirit world. They wanted to talk to people on the other side, but some of them they trusted and some they didn't. So it's just like in the afterlife, or in the fourth, and the fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. We do 10 dimensions, we do 10 densities. We're going to teach a lot of things that people know or relate to with words, Robert, and especially with groups you and I have been with various names and symbols, companies and unincorporated associations and organizations. And, the government here, internationally, we've been accepted English as the business language, and we're doing that right now. But you're a strategist, and I've asked you to help me with this ACO Club, because right now it's just something I pay for as a website on GoDaddy. And I've been with them since, helped him back when he was in the basement and started and then training people. But by the time I was driving a truck, 98, and going here and there and yonder, and especially over in Phoenix, Arizona. But something brings us together, Robert. It's got to be source, a lot of people call it, or that is everything. The theory of everything. We use numbers, symbols, sounds. We've got something. Do you use the word metaphysics at all, or what do you use? Because we don't know what to call this. I mean, there's all kind of symbols.
I use the word metaphysics. I think it's synchronicity. To me, there are no accidents. There was a reason why we met, and again, the more that we get to know one another, will determine where we want to go together, one way or the other. I see some bright things as far as the things that we can do together. I'm on this planet to make a difference, to make a positive difference in other people's lives. And I know that that's what you're about. And, again, I love the word synergy, which is 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2, it equals 11 or more than that. I mean, again, it's how when people come together and you work synergistically with somebody else that you can create something much more significant and impactful than just what somebody can create by themselves.
Yeah, but it's so hard to make teams, and I told you good luck with that because I keep having people tell me good luck with that because everybody is telling me, I love you, TJ, and I want to, I help you with your radio, or they needed something from me. So, and I still love Janet Lesson, who's got Aquarian Radio, and I love Tommy Hawksblood that's doing the StreamYard thing, Hawksblood 1 out of he says he'll always be with my ACO Club, and he's joined my Patreon. So, folks, if you like what I'm doing here, Patreon, and I'm new with that. I started it last year, but I didn't tell people or something. But I've only got Dr. Bruce Cornett and then Ronnie Dawson that was an alien contactee, truck driver. But one of the great people that runs containers and flatbed out of Houston, people know somebody and they connect with me and they come to me and they find me and they connect to me on LinkedIn and say, I heard Ronnie Dawson and he's one of my truck drivers. I'm like, whoa, that trips me out. I was like, you heard that alien contact story? So folks, this stuff that we're hearing about on the other side with spirits or alien or extraterrestrials or your higher self, regardless of what language we use, these people are all coming together, and it's sort of spooking me out. But, we can't do fear. We just have to face reality that we don't know everything. And the more you know, the less you know is what I've learned. So it's, Robert, you're not worried about working with me because I work with the paranormal, and I work with groups, UFO groups and alien groups and cosmology and science.
Yeah, I mean, in network marketing, in multi-level, you learn you never want to be judgmental. We're all, if you believe in God, which I know you do, and you realize that God made each and every one of us in His likeness at different levels, and the bottom line is, we're all the same, but we're all different, and you learn not to be judgmental one way or the other. When you're talking about team, and ultimately you mentioned Chicken Soup for the Soul, and the two people that wrote that book were Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen. Mark Victor Hansen early in his career used to give the acronym of TEAM, which is Together Everybody Achieves Miracles. So it's just, if you're looking to create a team, it's finding people that have got a similar interest and want to go to a similar place and figure out how you can collaborate rather than rather than work from competition. It's all, life is about collaboration and developing the right strategic alliances of people you want to work with, and then figuring out how you're going to monetize it in a way that fits the purpose of the people you're working with.
So you suggest that we go forward then with the way my team is splitting up and all going to their YouTubes, but they've learned that doesn't put money on the table. But I said, well, at least, I've had stuff out there for years, but they were trailers for our clubs, our events, our books. I used it just to put pictures with sound or with sort of like a project. I don't know. How do you
let's take a look at money on the table for a second. First of all,
okay.
You can always get an advertiser if you know what your audience is. If you know how many people that are tuning in, and and if you knew some kind of demographics of the people that are tuning in, that's one way of getting money on the table. Another way of getting money on the table, and I started, and I mentioned to you about a gift card program of a company that I've got an affiliate with. And again, with the problem with with what's going on with the immunity today, more and more people are realizing that if they want to live longer, age more gracefully, it's keeping their immune system strong. Most of the people, you hear the majority of the people that are not able to make it if they catch the virus are the people that have got a weakened immune system. So there's a way that we could create wealth there too. So there's multiple different ways to create income for anybody and everybody. And I'm happy to mentor any of the people that are listening that are serious about wanting to develop another stream of income. All they have to do is get back to you, Teresa, and then I'm happy to work with them on your behalf.
Wow. Well, I've got that patreon.com/Teresa J. Morris. And
yep.
It says I'm building a community, but are you familiar? Because I don't know, being a songwriter, singer, and my ministry was music, and I crossed over into website domains and working with radio in 2012. But I'm just one person, and now that I've got time, I feel like the government, they gave me back my government contract number, and I just went from ACAR to American Communications Online, but it's so long to say that I've adopted my Ascension Center organization and my articles and bylaws, because we started those back in the 83, 84 when I was in that pyramid. But we took them and we finalized them with a lot of people. It was over 300, and we were going to the Hilton Hawaiian Village, and we were having these spiritual science groups with your spiritual center. I was on radio in Hawaii, and I had Psychic Network. We had a lot of things we were working on, and people were worried about our Stargate. They said, just remember the word Stargate, but then it turns out people from Stanford, or what was that institute, Stanford? Anyway, the people that were working, they were worried about McMoneagle and all those people that were doing the government. We had Army groups. But see, I was in the military and wore a uniform too. It got all combined because then people didn't know if it was the military or civilian. So I just said, what the heck? You know, the government sent somebody from D.C. to close out my file with the Navy and then put me on a government contract, and then sent me to the mainland. And I was watching this thing going, God, help me. So I did a lot of praying. And I feel like I'm on my spiritual path, but you were asking me where I was. I was like, well, I'm going with the flow, because that's what everybody's being told to do. We're staying at home. We're keeping our distance. We're going with the flow. We're being good Americans. And we love the global community. We know they're all other countries. We've been to most of them. And yet we've got to help each other. But first we have to put our own mask on, which we said in the all my engineer, my space flight people, my space explorers, what do they call them? Pilots. I have a lot of pilots around the world that keep me informed. But we're putting on our own face mask, and then we're getting with Robert. Now, Robert, you put yours on, I put mine on, and we take care of our families. Now what? And you're with all these affiliates, and you can hook people up. You're a networker. I'm a networker. But doing it together with some videos that we can create our own app, we can help people, and then should we list things that we feel like we can do? Because you know so many people, you know, I don't know, you know, I mean, I've seen what you've done, and I know the kind of person you are. Building another platform, but we have to. There's a new chapter coming. So what do you want to do professionally? Well, I've told people I was going to build a directory, okay? And in that, I was only going to put people I trust, and they know if it's not me as Teresa, I'm going to do ACO for all the different groups because of the acronym. But it doesn't have to be that, but that's what I call it, ACO Club.
Here's a strategy that I would. Okay, let me give you the strategy what I would do in relationship to what I believe I just heard you.
Relationship.
Well, I would create some kind of a survey that people can fill out. Give them some kind of reward for filling it out. It could be some kind of an informational digital product one way or the other. I mean, to me, that would be what I would do. The other thing that I would do is not put my mask on, but take my mask off. You know, you're at home. You've got time to connect with people. That's how you and I connected. That's what we start our conversation this evening about. And then rather than try to pitch them on something, focus on what you can do to make a connection. You want to create a know, like, and trust with the other person. Make a positive difference. There's many different ways to be able to do that. It's based on how you can guide people to something as you've taken the time to listen to them, ask the right questions, and then guide them to it. It could be just guiding them to something as simple as, something they can get for free on YouTube. It costs you nothing. But what you want to do is you want to position yourself as a trusted advisor. If you go back to Trout's book, it's called Positioning. You want to position yourself as a trusted advisor. How do you do it? You keep it human and make real connections and figure out what you can do that will make a positive impact in somebody else's life. And if you can do that with one person a day, 5 days, 6 days a week, over a period of time, you're going to meet enough of the right people because, again, if you move people move products, people can make you wealthy. One person can change your life in a positive way. So the point is, what can you do? Continually reach out and connect with people. Listen to them, ask questions, figure out how you can do something that will make a positive difference in their life. And if you do that consistently, you're going to have a positive impact in other people's lives. And ultimately, you'll have a positive impact in your life.
That is wow. And the win of Butwin, World Information Network, is what I started years and years ago. And people from New York were calling me in Hawaii because I was putting it in the paper. And they want to know, how can I get in this World Information Network? And it was during the ECO Expo, and people and the government, FBI agents, all kind of intelligence agents. And we didn't even have the internet set up yet with Windows 95 because this was 89 to 94. And we set up the articles and bylaws, and we went with Ascension Center and Psychic Network. So we've got both of those folks. We've got the Ascension Center and the Psychic Network, and we've had it. Now, when I did copyright and patents and all that, we had to do them, and we had to show to the government and all the patent attorneys that we had it in trade and industry. So, Robert, you know about all that because we have patent conferences in Dallas and with Michael, is it Tellinger? I'm sure you know the name, right? Do you know his name?
I'm not
Tellinger.
sure.
You're not sure about him?
No, I'm not sure.
Okay, well, that might be that's probably in one of my other groups, the Alien Contact or Ascension Center. Let's see. Which one is he in? I thought he was in World Information Network. Michael Tellinger. Anyway, I know so many people, but people don't know I know them. Or they don't know that we're talking, except unless you're in the intelligence business. And I do have a lot of friends in business and information security. And Ten Conics, I was hoping John was going to show up, but I'll tell him I mentioned his name, and he helps me in business intelligence and people that we need to help each other because so many people, Robert, they want to know, but they want to know they can trust them. And it's not what they can give, but yet we are in service to others. It's what did we used to say you've got to give to get, but it wasn't to scam people or to spam people in the internet, but it was networking. But that can take on a different air. But you and I stay positive. Now, we know there's a negative downside to people and the internet and the dark web and all that, but the balance is to know that in the dark comes the light, and wisdom helps us. We're the light workers, and we're the truth seekers. Have you got any final words? We've got about 12 minutes left, or more, because we can always go over, but where are you? I need to know that you're clear, or that there's some messages you want to leave with people, because we don't know who wants this. Yeah, and I am recording it, by the way. You asked me earlier, of course. I'll put it out there on Blog Talk, Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, FM radio, Blueberry. Oh, gosh, I pay all kind of places out there. And then there's some that cover me because I've been in business so long, they just carry me free.
Oh, no problem. I've definitely can. Let me comment about the last thing. I mean, for example, we've all got a screen of logic. I mentioned that beforehand. And when you come across somebody that does not line up with your screen of logic,
okay,
you just, you close that door. I could give you different examples. I mean, on the internet, some of the people I've met some scam artists. And, again, I never, they're always wanting to send money, and they always try to play on people's greed. and it's like I might have been born at night, but not last night.
Okay.
I'm not gonna allow myself to be scammed. Not that I have not been scammed in the past, not by somebody I met on the internet, but again, when you come across somebody that's dark, you start recognizing that. I mean, if somebody's, one of the things I've learned is if somebody is going to continually tell you how righteous they are and how you should trust them, those are the people I don't trust. You don't have to tell me it, just show it to me. People show up by their actions. But unfortunately, many people, or most people, miss the signs. They miss the signs, and they want to believe. And if you question if I'm right or wrong, let me ask you a question, and I'll ask it to you, Teresa. What color are yield signs?
Yellow?
They haven't been yellow for over 40 years, and how many of them have you driven by?
Really?
They're red and white. Next time when you're out driving around, when you come across a yield sign, take a look at it. They're an upside-down triangle with the word yield on it. But most people, unfortunately, miss the sign. And
Why did I think it's yellow?
No, they're red and white.
So my brain recorded back when I was younger, and I was even a commercial truck driver for over 8 years.
They used to be yellow.
Well, I must have known it was red and white somewhere in the test I took.
Yep.
Wow.
So, most people miss signs, but again, the more that you change your consciousness, the more that you recognize the people that are real and not real. So
why would I think they're yellow? But can you tell me why do I think they're yellow? Because that's one of those trick questions, but most average human already knows, especially somebody like me as a commercial truck driver. Why did I think it was yellow? Black.
Stop signs, stoplights are yellow. And so when I say yield, they're thinking they're going to the point that, when you come to a stoplight, yellow means yield. But I said, what color are yield signs?
And this is great because I love neuroscience and reality and the interface, because we're always comparing ourselves with AI, computers, and how we were using computers in today as carbon-based units by humanoids. So this is perfect because you got that with that's my, not beta, that's my alpha, right? Because that alpha level, conscious level.
Right. Okay. In fact, I sent you a video, I don't know if you watched it, of the gorilla and the bouncing ball.
No, I haven't had time. I've had stuff that people, business goes on, but I had people in my life in and out and calls. But I did watch the videos right before you came on to try to brief myself. But I will watch a gorilla with a bouncing ball. Is that what you said?
It tells you how many times. But, again, it's very – and this was something that was done a long time ago. I don't want to give away too much of it because it's again, the video is like a minute and 48 seconds.
It's free. You gave me something free, and John calls them gifts with people. But you sent me some free stuff, and that's free YouTube. We got all this information out there. But tell me once again, because it's like the yellow yield, and I love games, folks, and I love treasure hunts, and I love to create teams and events and webinars and weekly where you can get away and Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we'll do some of those. But I don't know where we're going to have them yet. But once a year, I will physically show up in human form. People don't believe that, but I really, really will. At least once a year somewhere. I'm somebody's guest at a conference.
And I will also. The key, one of the keys that I've learned about increasing know, like, and trust is coming from giving. You mentioned it earlier.
Giving.
This evening. It's like giving unconditionally. And today it's a lot easier because there's so much information. We're in the information relationship age. So if you understand that and you try to make every one of your communications with people positive and impactful, and if you're able to do that, everything else will take care of itself. And ultimately, with that, because I've got to go, I've got some things I got to do. I can leave people with one last comment, if you're ready for it.
Well, you still got 5 minutes, but okay.
I can stay for 5 more minutes, no problem. But what I'm going to say is with Robert, you'll do nothing but win.
And that's been around a long time,
and if they want to reach me, they can reach me at my email, which is butwin@gmail, BUTWIN@gmail.com.
Do you care that we keep this ACO Coach Home Business tag or with you with our ACO Club? Because I made you a free page. That's just what I do. But it's by invitation only right now, because we're not sure what it's going to be yet when it grows up. So if you're not Teresa J. Morris and you want to know me, or you know me in some of the social networks, I'm asking you, well, one person at a time, like Robert said. I can only, but Robert, for the choice of it, ACO Club for right now, you understand if you're not me, so but win, and if you're not Robert, but win. But you were actually say that. Do you have a middle initial, Robert?
Yeah, it's A.
But you don't
Robert
use it.
Allen. Yeah, Robert Allen. One of the things I told you is he's a distant cousin, but my cousin is Robert Allen Zimmerman, which is also named Bobby Dylan.
Bobby Dylan is Robert Allen Zimmerman?
Yep.
That's his real name?
Yeah.
That's great. It's like Marilyn Monroe, but I don't remember her. Was it Jean something Jean?
Yep.
I don't know.
Robert Zimmerman.
Bobby Jean. But Robert, okay. Now, Robert Butwin, and I found out a lot about him, but nothing that not even a drop in the ocean of what I'd like to know about him. And that's, if I had what time I had left and I spent 24 hours a day, I still would not really know the spirit behind the soul, or the script he sent down to the planet to be himself out of what we believe in reincarnation and the incarnations of all that are souls out of the Gulf of Souls, and that gets really deep. But we're starting to realize that we're more than just the body. We like to say we are spiritual beings having a human relationship with ourselves, our higher selves, our lower selves, but inner and outer, the macrocosm, and we come down here. But we're somewhere between the microcosm and the macrocosm, folks. And Robert and I have crossed some of the same. I don't know if you'd say. I don't know what is part. It's a spiritual path we're on. But Robert, what do we call it? Because we're roughly the same age. We've had some of the same groups we've been in, but didn't know it. And I don't know what this is. We've got to name it, but it's bigger than us. It's universal. If you don't want to say that it's the God in you, or it's the goddess in you, or the close proximity of whatever gives us life in us, our soul, our spirit, whatever, all of the above, what are we going to be? We're just two humans hanging out on the radio? What are we?
Well, we're friends. We're strategic alliances. At this point, we don't necessarily need to create a name of what we are at this point. We're just in the process of developing a friendship relationship, a strategic alliance. The name will come to us, or it might come to us right away, or it might come to us in the next day or two.
It's something new, folks. We're all writing a new chapter. We are the authors of our own life story, and I do have TJ Morris Publishing. If you're interested in getting help with any of my groups that do editing and publishing and copywriting, and some of us want to do journals, and we used to do all that. And I don't know, because I have to put a lot of money into it to keep the archives. But I've flattened most everything, and it's gone into the Wayback Machine. I do have some of my collection of universities and the archives to get into the universities, because back in the day we didn't have anybody to keep them, and I got elected, but I got elected to ACIR in the 60s before I really even knew what there could only be one among all the United States and the government. So guess what? I'm ACIR. So I'm the keeper of the flame, and I keep the energy going. But the thing is, with Butwin, I don't know where we're going yet, and it's okay. I'm in the going with the flow. We're both just a drop in the big ocean of life. What are some things you want to say, Robert? You've said Butwin. Remember, Robert, Butwin@gmail. Now, isn't it funny that you and I both use Gmail when I have plenty of others in businesses or website domains, and I am the UAP director, so director@uap.associates for those that are authors or journalists or that need to write or you need a company. Robert, do you have a professional one to get on or to be a web developer or get into maybe ResearchGate or anything like that where you have to have a professional sign in? You know what I'm talking about, educational?
No, it's real simple. All they have to do is either Google me, which is Robert Butwin, or my email is actually just Butwin@gmail. It's just my last name, Butwin@gmail.
Okay, I'm a Google person too, TJ Morris Agency @gmail. I've got TJ Morris Reporter @gmail. But, I have to check all those. I had at least 5 of them. Google got upset with me. We've been round and round, but it's funny because I would separate my email list. Yeah, I was from old school thinking it was a Rolodex, but I've still got them. So I've still got TJ Morris American, which is the one that they filled up on Facebook with 5K from Miss TJ Morris at AOL. And then there was this feud I didn't understand. And you may remember the AOL. Do you remember the webinar or not the webinar? It was seminar. No, it wasn't that either. Browser wars. And basically, AT&T went with Yahoo. And they teamed up, Bing and Microsoft, right? That's Microsoft Bing. Google and YouTube is, but that's a thing. So I'm using all of those. I'm using Microsoft. In other words, I give them money. And then I pay for WordPress. I pay GoDaddy. I pay Google, Amazon. But, these are resource tools we need. And then I got MediaCom to be on the internet, and then I use consumer cellular for my phone. So I guess we plug with the money. So, Robert, just so you know, my group has a group that I would like you to look into. It's people that pay to vote, but we're looking to be a community. Like they had the bankers, they had the independent bankers, and they let one of the guys that had the association speak like the other big banks like Wells Fargo and Bank of America directly to the president, but they were just little community banks. I want association, and Google and the government's recognizing ACO Professional Trade Association, but I had all these domains and I took them down. So we're an unincorporated association right now, Robert, but it's something about people staying at home, but there's so many solopreneurs. What did you call them? Solopreneurs? Solopreneurs. Yeah. But they're entrepreneurs. But so many sole proprietors. Right now is a good time, Robert, to mention because we're not recognized when it comes to small business associations or employee return, or you have to file an employment, sole proprietors. So on a last leaving note, you're a home independent person. But I guess it's none of the world's business how we pay taxes. But they're going to figure out we're the old guys, okay? And we're retired age. So can you basically say that you are retired on one level? Or will you never
On one
retire?
level, I'm retired, but I'll never retire. It's like when you love what you do, it's like, first of all, according to statistics, the average person when they retire lives another 22 months. If that statistic is still right or not, I'm not sure. But it's like if you're doing
already.
Yeah, if you're doing something that you love, it's like, why would you want to stop doing it? To me, it's like the kind of work that I'm doing, it's not work. It doesn't feel like work because my focus is making a positive difference in people's lives. So it doesn't feel like it's work. It's like I said, I'm psychologically unemployable. The last day I worked a job was September 7th, 1990. Not interested in working anymore for anybody else. I work in my own business. I work in my own dream. I work in doing the things I want to do. So, anyhow.
Well, help us learn your language. Help us learn your language and how to talk that with the ACO Club. It's acoclub.app I ask you to look at. I don't know what we're supposed to do with that unless we create a directory like I used to for all the universities. But I just have them, and they're on my blogs, and the government or whoever's looking up libraries, they used to refer me because in the Internet back in the ARPA days and Network Solutions, and I've still got those old numbers back in the Tim Berners-Lee, when we were all starting.
Yeah. What I would do, I would come up with a survey so you get a better chance to get to know the people. So whatever the questions are in your survey, and give them some kind of a gift, some kind of digital special gift for them, for the people that fill it out. That way you can figure out what are the needs, what their interests are, and ultimately get them what they're looking for, the different people based on the questions you come up with. I mean, we've got time to figure it out. You and I just met last night, but in the meantime, I know that I've got some things that I need to do now. So,
okay,
happy to come back.
Well, I appreciate your time.
Well, I'm always glad to be able to contribute and focus on what I can do to help other people.
Wow. Okay. Well, yeah, I'd like to put you in one of the groups with other people that if any of you guys are interested in Robert Butwin and how he relates to all the multi-billionaires and the Tony Robbins of the world, I don't know how to say it, people that have known the old guys that trained them. I know mentoring, because Facebook's using that now and asking people in my groups. They're free social media groups, folks, on Facebook. But connect with me on YouTube, Teresa J. Morris, TJ Thurmond Morris, ACO Gold Club. And Robert, like you said, if you want to work with us at the ACO Club, you can get in touch with me or Robert. But he's got his name out there, butwin@gmail.com. His book is Street Smart Networking. Robert, I hope you'll find out how to do a revision, because I love to learn, but $799.60 is too much.
Well,
so
I don't
your
know
book
who sold for that, but I never sold for that kind of money. So,
Amazon had an American something on Amazon. But would you look at that? It's probably because you haven't cared about money. But I'm just guessing that you didn't look at it. But
no, I've never looked at it.
They've got $400 or $500 on some of my books. They've got my books at that price. So will you help me with Amazon? Because I've got an AWS archive. I want to talk to you about where we're going to keep our archives and what I should be paying for, because I'm paying for the archives. So get back in touch with me over
talk over the
money,
next couple of days.
Okay,
so
thank you so much.
Wish everybody, it's Good Friday today. It's Easter this weekend, Sunday. So let's have a blessed weekend. And my guess is we've gone through the worst of everything that we're going through as far as with this coronavirus. And, I would see things getting much better next week.
Wonderful. Well, get back with me on strategy and money, because that's your two big keys with all the multi-billionaires on top and all of us poor people at home that want to know some strategy. All right. Thank you. Robert Butwin, folks. Thank you. He's going to be one of our strategists. Love and light, Robert. Come back and see us at least maybe monthly or something. We'll talk in a think tank. Thank you.
Thank you.
Love and light. Thank you.